Today we're going to demonstrate how much fun it can be drawing on a toned surface.
Do you mean a toned surface like this, Sandra?
Well, whatever floats your boat, Tara, but no, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about instead of drawing over a white surface, you draw over a toned surface. It's really good fun and really, really effective too. And I particularly like these Strathmore sketchbooks. They come in tan, or you can get a grey colour as well, and it's nice mixed media paper, so you can sort of put a light wash on it as well.
Clairefontaine also makes similar ones too.
Well, for the purpose of this demonstration, I'm just going to use this cheapy sketchbook here. It's by Dale Rowney and it's called Cachet. I don't know if it can take much of a wash, but what we'll do, I'll bring you over here and we'll try a few pens out and see what happens. So the first one I'm going to use is this Sharpie pen. It's a white medium point pen. Let's see how this goes. That's quite nice. I quite like that. See how it's absorbing into the page. They do sort of dull out a little bit. There's another one, exactly the same pen, just finer. Try that one. Again, I really like that. Oh, it's quite bright. Let's try this. This is a Pilot Supercolour White. It says permanent, so let's see what this one's like. It's nice and bright. Ooh, not very smooth though. I'm not very keen on that at all, I must say. It's not like there's no ink in it, but it's really as bright as it is, it just doesn't feel smooth on the paper at all. Finally, I'm just going to try this jelly roller pen, see what that looks like. Yeah, it's fine. Not very bright, but okay for doing fine lines. Doesn't stand out very much. I also like drawing with these Uniball eye fine liner pens, and they're great if you don't want to use water with them because they're not water soluble. But my favourite by far to use is my Lamy Safari pen. I've always really enjoyed working with this. Same kind of mark, really lovely and smooth on the paper. The difference being, unlike this, which is water resistant, this one you can actually blend. So I will probably use mainly this and these Sharpie pens for my demonstration. So I'm going to show you how I would use these pens to make a really simple sketch and make that really effective. So I wonder if you can guess what I'm drawing, Tara.
Is it my smelly feet?
It's definitely a pair of smelly feet, yeah. So I'm using here my Lamy Safari pen, which, as I say, I absolutely love. Just doing the basic outline.
Is this from a photo reference or is this your feet or?
No, it's from a photo reference. I love drawing feet. Feet and hands, especially in perspective, are really fun to draw. These kind of remind me of Shrek feet.
Should have done on green paper, shouldn't you?
Yeah, yeah. So now I'm just going to, lay down the basic shadowed areas.
You're just drawing sort of little lines for that, aren't you?
Just a bit of hatching, yeah. Just to get.
Do you still call it hatching when you only go one way?
Well, it's still hatching. It's only,
yeah.
I think it's cross hatching, isn't it, when it goes the other way as well? And I think I'll be doing that, a little bit of that as well. But yeah, I'm just literally basically getting those main shadowed areas in. And you can see straight away how it makes them look three-dimensional. So here I've got my Sharpie pen, my white Sharpie pen. I'm just picking out the tiniest highlights that I suppose the skin is picking up. And you'll see that it might look a little bit rough, but it really does look effective for a sketch.
Do you know what I find with those white pens? You've really got to find a really good one because otherwise they don't work, do they? But
Well,
that Sharpie seems to work really well.
I like it. It's my favourite one because the others seem to absorb
Yeah.
quite fast, and then they almost turn into a bit of a grey. I suppose the buff paper underneath can show, but I found this one personally to be my preference. But you've got to be a little bit careful with how much you use it. If you go over the top, then you'll overwork it. So here now I've realised that I need to darken up some of those shadows, which I'm doing here.
So now they're cross-hatched.
Now they're cross-hatched. You could actually use a water brush as well, just to, make those shadows sort of pull that pigment in, but I don't feel the need to when it's just a sketch like that. And you can see here I've drawn a pair of satin ballet shoes, and using the same techniques, only with the ballet shoes I have used some water just to pull in the shadows, and I've used a much thicker Sharpie pen. And that's really effective because you can really see that it makes the material really shiny. So that's just the way I'd use them for a quick sketch.
But you don't just have to stick to black and white, you can also use colour. And I like this Bockingford tinted watercolour paper. You can obviously use watercolour on it, but you can use other wet media too. So I'm going to try using Inktense watercolour pencils.
So I'm going to do something a little bit more detailed for mine, and I'm just going to start by penciling in a sort of rough outline ready to start. And I'm using, like I mentioned before, the tinted watercolour paper. So once I've done that, I'd start by putting some Inktense down, and I'm just starting with a tone that's a little bit darker than the paper colour. What I like about these is you don't have to use them in a particular order. So now I'm laying down some shadows.
So is this watercolour paper or is it mixed media?
No, this is actually watercolour paper.
I've not really seen tinted watercolour paper.
And it's got a little bit of tooth, so it will keep your marks as well as, blurring out, especially with these Inktense. They seem to hold their marks a bit more.
Yeah.
So I'm just laying in some other colours here. There's little bits of kind of a reddish brown in, and putting some colour in the tongue. And then in the background, I was using a reference photo from, I think it was Pixabay or Unsplash. There was just kind of a forest in the background, and I'm keeping that really loose. It was quite blurry, just using the side of the pencil for that.
Well, you don't want that to be your focal area, do you? You just want that to be something that puts him into some kind of place, I suppose.
Yeah. And now I'm laying in the water with a water brush here, just to try and soften areas and sort of blend it in. You can see, because those Inktense pencils are so punchy, you can really see how vibrant that makes some of those colours.
It's incredible, isn't it, the difference when you do that?
The only thing is you can't tell very easily. I should really make a colour chart. You can't tell what the colours are until you actually put the water on.
Yeah.
And I realised I need to sort of darken some areas, so I go back in with a pencil. And you can keep sort of working on top of these if you want.
And you can see, like you say, the texture of the tooth kind of remains, doesn't it, underneath, which is great for that fur.
Yeah, and you can see here, I've realised as well, it needs pulling out the background more, so I'm just laying in a few darks. And then finally, going in with a gel pen, just putting in some whiskers and some little hairs. And then just to get some bolder highlights, I use a so much chunkier marker. This is a one-for-all marker, which I find are quite good for this. I know you're using the Sharpie. This is one of the best ones I've found.
Oh, I was going to say, have you tried the Sharpie? Do you know which one you like the best?
No, I haven't tried a Sharpie, but I might do that. I've tried a few. I haven't gotten well with Poscas. But the one for all so far are the ones I like the best.
Why not check out our previous videos, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss your Art Kick Sunday. Meanwhile, you can check out our podcast and find the creative challenges we have coming up at www.kickinthecreatives.com. Back soon.